the strongest marine ever, the monkey deadbeat dragon's father Garp.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Don Chinzao in chapter 708 was correct. Garp is a literal demon against pirates.
Why are you crying?
This dude had 3 future Yonkos running from him.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Xebec versus Roger and Garp is hands down the battle of the strongest of all time.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Garp notices the massive battle and rushes towards the big catch he had just spotted. He makes Big Mom, Kaido, and Whitebeard run away from him because they don't want the Monkey D Garp smoke. Now, a lot of people who don't have the special power known as reading comprehension see this panel of 3 future Yonkos running from Garp as meaning Garp is stronger than 3 Yonkos, especially putting a focus on Whitebeard, who had 0 scars on his back, and that was like one of his most defining character traits. They say that this completely ruins Newgate's character. However, are we reading the same manga, guys? Like, haven't we already seen Luffy and Zoro run from fucking Hawkins in early Wano? Does that make Hawkins stronger than Luffy and Zoro? No, because that wasn't their plan. Didn't the Straw Hats run from Big Mom in Whole Cake Island after saving Sanji, which was the goal they were there for? Similarly, Whitebeard's goal in God Valley isn't to fight Garp or the Marines. They are there to save Shaki and find treasure. It would be dumb as hell for Whitebeard to stop and have a whole drawn-out battle against a top tier like Garp. This dude Garp literally tanks a combo Zeus and Prometheus attack from Big Mom and acts like that shit didn't even tickle him. Bro is on demon time. This dude said Big Mom's attack couldn't even cook a prime rib.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
Even Dragon is like, Dad, is that you? Own son is shocked at Garp's power. This man Garp is legit the strongest marine at this point. Garp is him. Bro, like Garp calls one of the Gorosei is fucking superior in the world government a monster, alright? He elaborates that it's a fitting look for the head of those maggots. He calls the Celestials the Gorosei maggots. Imagine the gall of this guy, the haki on this man, to be able to say this to the authority of the fucking world government, alright? This proves that Garp's justice is his own. While another admiral, Kizaru, in a similar situation at Egghead with unclear justice, resigned himself to let these monsters do what they pleased to the Marines, even following the orders to attack his own friend Vegapunk and Sentomaru. Garp is different. His justice is very clear. He sees the Gorosei and Imu for what they are, disgusting monsters. Now, if Garp knows all of this, he was at God Valley, why did he still stay at the Marines like a dog for the Celestial? Well, there are a few reasons. First, of course, is that he is a Marine. It's the only global organization in the world whose job is to protect the people. Garp is kind of like Gojo, okay? He thinks that by training up the next generation with the ideals of his justice, there will come reform from the inside. Because if the Marines fall, there is no one with a mission to protect the weak citizen. Of course, there are good pirates like Roger or Xebec who don't hurt the innocent, but there are just as many bad pirates who relish at looting, stealing, or killing the weak like Captain Kuro, for example. Now, of course, there are going to be Doflamingos and crocodiles who are sanctioned by the government to do evil, which goes against Garp's sense of justice. Yet he can still save countless more by using the resources that the Marines offer him and by teaching the next generation. If he can impact 5 Kobes and they can go on into the future and impact 5 other Kobes each, then you have 25 Kobes inside of the Marines in just a few generations, which we have seen with the Sword faction in the current time. That's basically the brand of copium Garp has been huffing since joining the Marines, and especially after God Valley to stay in the Marines. Now, I also have a theory about Garp becoming a government dog after the God Valley incident to make sure Dragon, his son, isn't killed. This would have been the first time Dragon realized how a parent's biggest weakness is their child. Without Garp's sacrifice by staying staying with the maggots, a dragon would have been hunted down relentlessly, even more so than he is after forming the revolutionary. Moving on, as Xebec is fighting against Emu, everyone on the island can see their fight since how massive Emu is. While the Marines ask Garp if they should back up Saturn, he has a wild grin on his face and he says, yeah, let's go back them up. His men are like, hey, what do you mean back them up? Who are you talking about? You didn't say who to back up. They're literally like pulling Garp, right? They're like, yo, stop. If you go against the government, you're gonna die. Garp, the Vice Admiral, stop it, gang. But he does not give a shit, bro. He knows Emu is the evil. He's gonna go beat up that fraud, bro. Then we get an insane double spread of Roger using Divine Departure, Garp using Galaxy Impact, Kaido with his Boro Breath, Whitebeard with his Void Chatterer, Big Mom using Ikoku Sovereignty, and Xebec using the Pandemonium of the Abyss. These are all of the top tier's strongest attacks, every one of them a future Yonko, or at a level of a Yonko. Yet, Emu recovers instantly using a huge burst of haki that spreads throughout the entire island, making fodders unconscious on the spot. Even Garp, the strongest Marine, doesn't feel like helping out much because he screams to Sengoku at Marine HQ about whether he knew the truth about the Celestials' field trip or not, proving to us that Garp never really knew about what happened during the Celestial hunt. This competition is so secret that not even Sengoku, the future fleet admiral, knew about it. He had heard some random Marines rambling about it a few years ago, but bro vanished soon after as a Navy soldier, so he paid no mind to it. The situation in God Valley regarding civilians is so messed up that Garp thinks he is dreaming. There is a real sense of confusion about him. Should he be helping the pirates going against his orders? Because at least the pirates aren't killing the civilians, right? Wouldn't it make him the bad guy if he protects and supports the Celestials that are hunting innocent women and children as a sport, which goes against the justice of the Marines? However, their commander Garp seems to be stun-locked. He says that nothing makes sense anymore, not even justice, as the citizens are begging the Marines to let them onto their ship to be saved. Instead, they are blown to bits. This is not what Garp signed up for. According to his brand of justice, he should be fighting against the forces who hurt the citizens. So his real enemies should be Marines and the world government, right?
Well, that's true in a way.
And so the battle has finally begun. Garp asks Roger if he hears Rox's voice too. The voice is pleading them both to kill him. This is definitely the voice of all things. We know that lineage factors matter a lot in One Piece, similar to how Oden and Momonosuke, who have strong ties to the era before the Void Century, could hear the voice of all things. That's how they heard the whales, and especially Zunisha, whose speech has the same kind of bubble. With how shocked Roger and Garp both are at this phenomenon, this is likely the very first time both of them experienced the voice of all things. Although taken over by the devil's magic, Xebec's will is so strong that he can muster up enough strength to speak to the two strongest in God Valley, the two who have the power to stop his rampage. However, Roger and Garp are still unsure what has happened. None of it makes sense. How can a warrior who was able to defeat an admiral single-handedly 18 years ago with no sweat at all lost to Emu in a matter of seconds? On top of that, he killed his own family. Bro, like, he doesn't even recognize his strongest rival. But there is barely any time to think as Xebec, with tears in his eyes, strikes Roger, who blocks his attack with his own blade, Ace, coated in Conqueror's haki, while Garp takes this chance to give Xebec a punch that distorts his entire face. Yet, even with the future Pirate King and the hero of the Marines combo attack, it doesn't even push Demon Xebec back for that long, as Xebec repels both Roger and Garp using his own haki. This repel is so busted that Roger and Garp smash onto the side of the remaining mountain. The clash of their Conqueror's haki splits the sky in two as well, confirming that all of them are in fact using Conquerors. The rest of the pirates see this as a signal to get the hell out of God Valley. After taking the massive hit from Xebec, both Garp and Roger realize that there is no trying to dispel the possession. They must put their lives on the line to kill Rock. So Garp calls up his men to tell them that, bro, get the hell out of the island, like evacuate immediately, like this shit is about to blow up. Their next clash is gonna be so heated that the island is done for. Like they need to get the hell out of here. Roger does the same, calling his crew. The instant Rayleigh gets to the ship with Shaki, they must set sail immediately. However, Roger and Garp, they aren't planning on dying at God Valley. Both promise their crew and unit that they will make it back for them for sure, so they should wait for them at sea. Garp and Roger both turn on their serious mode as they take off their jackets, which reminded me of the moment where Garp and Sengoku took off their jackets to fight against Shiki like over a decade later, because bro escaped from prison because he was like, oh nah, no way Roger just like let himself die, like he was my rival, bro. How can Roger just die like that? He beat me in Ed War. Garp laughs that he came here to capture Roger and Xebec, but look how things have changed. Similarly, Roger never planned on fighting the Rock's crew or even Garp. He just wanted to save Shaki, grab some treasure, and dip. Instead, both are forced to stray away from their paths. So why don't they call a temporary truce? Garp isn't excited about it, but for the sake of his men, he can't just let a demon Xebec roam free. Honestly, not just his men, but the citizens who are still evacuating. And imagine this demon like gets out of God Valley. It is GG. Like bro got wings, like he can fly away, causing both men to jump into the action again. I found it pretty interesting here that even before this temporary truce, the attack both landed on Xebec in the beginning of the chapter was a team effort. Roger blocked Xebec's sword, allowing for Garp to land his punch. These two are on the same haki wavelength since the beginning of this fight. Even now, they wonder if there is a way for them to wake up Rocks. This dude is so busted that he smacks up Roger and Garp over and over again with little to no damage being taken, by the way. Then we get some insane haki lore drop. Roger says that defeating Demon Rocks is all about mass. Armament haki can normally counter devil fruits, especially Conqueror's Coating, which is a level even above basic armament. So why isn't Roger's attacks doing anything to Xebec? Turns out that he is countering it with his own Conqueror's haki, using it to cancel out their attacks. Until they overcome this haki shield, Xebec won't sustain a single bit of damage. If they keep wasting their stamina throwing out weak ass attacks, they will eventually lose. They cannot match Xebec, who is juiced up by Imu's power in a battle of attrition. Their only choice is to finish him off in one big combined attack, where they use up both of their entire Conqueror's haki reserves to destroy the haki shield of this monster. All they have to do is punch the devil fruit power that caused Domi Reversi out of Demon Xebec. This is the same concept that allowed for Imu's powers to be dispelled from Egghead after Joy Boy's 800-year-old musty haki was used up. In a clash of conquerors, whoever has more willpower wins out that duel. To counter them, Demon Xebec would need to exert equal or more haki at the same time as Roger and Garp's attack, which is pretty unlikely, and even if he does, then both parties would be rendered useless, basically no haki left. They would end up similar to Luffy and Dressrosa after Gear 4 runs out. There is a huge chance that they won't survive after this, but the two don't care. We see Xebec still crying. It's probably like watching your body be driven while you are stuck in the backseat. Roger and Garp both can feel their rival's frustration. Roger can't even bear to watch Xebec suffer like this. Bro has his hands on the face. Instead of laughing like Gear 5 Luffy, Roger is crying as he channels up his strongest attack, Hagutsuchi's Ace, or the Fire God's Ace, which is so cool because Ace later on gets the fire fruit, you know, like his son named after the sword. This is peak One Piece right here. While Garp uses Infinitum Explosion, basically inputting almost limitless haki that he has onto his attack. Similar to how Roger's attack foreshadows his son Ace, Garp's attack foreshadows Luffy's own power in the future, as Luffy can stretch his own haki reserves in Gear 5. This attack seals the deal against Demon Xebec, as Imu's Domi Reversi leaves the goat's body. The narrator confirms that this era of rocks is over.
Okay.
Only leaving echoes behind, referring to the Yonkos that emerged from Rox's crew. These tremors would continue to shake the world. He is finally thinking clearly with no fangs or horns. However, both Roger and Garp are out cold. All three of them exerted every ounce of haki they had. Just staying alive is a struggle at this point, which does not bode well as the fight was so insane that the entire island of God Valley is about to collapse like it's Namek. And then in the distance, Xebec sees 3 upside down fraud knights show up. If Garling and his goons don't come back, Rox might have been saved just like Roger and Garp. However, even in his final moments, this dude is such a Chad, he isn't thinking about himself, but Roger and Garp's safety. The last hope for bringing the world out of Emu's darkness are Roger and Garp now. So he uses the voice of all things to tell them both thank you for stopping him.
Cut the show. I'm done.
In the nick of time, Gaban and Rayleigh show up to grab Roger and Garp as the Holy Knights are stabbing Xebec. The odd thing here though is that Oda doesn't show Xebec actually dying. Plus, the paneling is really interesting. It's not clear whether the Knights allowed Roger and Garp to live or Gaban and Rayleigh swiped them away while they were distracted by Xebec. He saw how fast Mafe was. Well, she was hunting Dragon earlier in the flashback. Why wouldn't they chase after the wings of the Pirate King? They are carrying 2 big men on their shoulders. Their speed would definitely be affected, right? Letting Garp live, I can understand, but Roger too? Like that doesn't make sense. By this year, he was already a notorious pirate and had already sailed to Lodestar, even wearing a straw hat like Joy Boy back in the day. It's possible that when Garling stabs Xebec to kill him, similar to Brooks after death, his devil fruit activates. As a final thank you to Roger and Garp, he uses his soul or ghost-based powers after death to get rid of the Holy Knights until rescue arrives for them both. We see all the different survivors of God Valley as the curtains close on this grand stage. The narrator says that the crumbling island was swallowed by the waves and consumed by fog. The news of the God Valley incident then spreads throughout the world from the World Economic Journal. The Rocks pirates are wiped out by none other than the heroism of Monkey D. Garp. Some even claim he is the strongest. Upon reading the article, Garp is, of course, livid that the Marines would lie to this degree. Sengoku tries to calm him down, saying that Morgans, who represents the media, only wrote that stuff because the elites in power paid him to do so. We then learn just how massive an organization the Marines truly are, as they number in millions of soldiers worldwide, so it's impossible to account for everyone's actions or motivations. He is basically saying that this fabrication of the facts in God Valley, which has turned Garp into a mythical figure, is like a glue that unites millions of Marines now. Garp may not like it, but it is necessary. Throughout history, military forces and leaders crafted their own myths and legends to give the soldiers something larger than them to believe in, which would up their morale immensely. For example, Alexander the Great was confirmed to be the son of Zeus by the Oracle of Siwa. This myth was spread as literal fact to every soldier, and they were to refer to him as such a hero. If you are a random silver elo infantry, you'd be more likely to charge in if you have a literal demigod supporting you, right? And commanding you. Now imagine the hero Garp, who single-handedly destroyed the Rocks pirates, was part of the same org as you. This is why Garp holds so much power and influence over the government as well, since he is a walking mythical hero to millions of Marines. Garp isn't happy by this reasoning though. He instead says that what if the hero considers the top brass of the Marines themselves to be insane? Sengoku replies that he would just turn a blind eye. This triggers Garp as they both end up in a little fight, as Sengoku is called a promotion-chasing fool. But what good can you do barking from the bottom of a cliff? Sengoku rather become an admiral or even higher to try and stop the most heinous actions, saving more lives than he would by being at the bottom. Now, of course, we here at Dragon Balls Deep do not agree with this. If Garp and Sengoku decide to leave the Marines, especially after the hero's myth, tens of thousands of Marines would follow them. Look at how much Deadbeat Dragon and the revolutionaries have managed to do since God Valley. Garp and Sengoku would have way more resources at their disposal. Now, the counterpoint would be that the bad pirates might take this civil war within the government as an opportunity to become warlords, taking territories around the world and becoming an even worse oppressing force. Everyone has a morality line that they are okay with balancing on. For Sengoku, he's fine becoming an admiral, which means he's right under the command of the Celestials at any time. However, due to his high position, he's likely the reason Sword was allowed to flourish inside the Marines as a counter faction. Just like how he would turn a blind eye towards the actions of the top brass, he also turned a blind eye to the actions that went against the government. Remember, Ohara was allowed to do their research for decades, uncovering the secrets of the Void Century. They even deciphered the poneglyphs. Roger became the Pirate King. The Great Pirate Era also started while Sengoku, Garp, Suru, these guys were at the top of Marine HQ. The forces opposed to the government have been steadily winning, while these guys, the supposed strongest, have been at the helm of the Marine organization. We may not agree with the way Sengoku chose to fight as a Marine, but he was not corrupted, because if he was, Garp said he would kill him instantly. Their ideals of helping the weak stayed true all these years. Sengoku tried to protect the soldiers from the top, while Garp was the guard dog at the bottom of the cliff, whose bark as the hero was mighty.